Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. It is that time of the week once again where we take a look at how the various members of the Seahawks defense are doing in pass coverage. And it was another good week for this group. I mean, when you're talking about a game where the opposing quarterback throws it 33 times on, it was probably close to 40 dropbacks to throw intended to throw the ball, and they don't even get 150 yards on those dropbacks. You did something right. You did something really good. So, obviously, broad strokes, this secondary, this defensive group continues to excel. But let's try to break it down a little more than that. Let's try to figure out who exactly excelled and maybe try to find the areas of concern if there are any. I can tell you right now, there really aren't that many areas of concern after this game, but it's the Cardinals. You wouldn't expect them to be able to do a ton of damage on you, and they certainly didn't. So, the linebackers kept things really clean in coverage in this game. Wagner was targeted 7 times and only allowed 17 yards on those 7 targets. He allowed 4 completions for 17 yards. So basically, Wagner, I would say, if you take a look at it, had his best game in coverage so far this year. So good to see. Definitely good to see. QB rating allowed is now down to about 97, given what Bobby is at this point in his career, which is a guy who is mostly here to help stop the run and not a guy who's going to do a lot of good stuff in coverage. We already kind of expect that. That's about as good as it's going to get. Jordan Brooks was targeted a few times in this game as well, just 5 times. He allowed, I believe it was 3 completions. Yeah, 3 completions. Nothing big either on his part. 33 yards. So a little bit more than he's allowed in some of these other games, but still totally fine. Nothing wrong with him in coverage yet this year. QB rating allowed of 90. And through 6 games, our 2 starting linebackers have allowed a combined 307 yards in coverage. So basically 50 yards a game. If you want to throw Devin Bush and John Radigan into the mix, you're talking about what, 50, not even 55 yards a game still. So for a part of the team that could easily be this gaping weakness, it's not happening. These guys are not getting lit up. They're allowing a high completion percentage, but they're not blowing games by being inept in coverage. I don't think either of these guys have really had one bad game in coverage yet this year. It's just little hits here and there that are going to happen over the course of a modern NFL game. You're not going to have a complete shutdown game in 2023. So, really good stuff from the linebacker still. The only new thing with the edge rushers, Derek Hall allowed another reception for 5 yards. Not a particularly big deal. Obviously, these guys rarely get targeted because they're rarely in coverage. They're almost always rushing the passer because that's what our defense is at this point. But Derek Hall did allow the 1 catch for 5 yards. Okay, more interesting stuff here in cornerback. Tariq Woolen, according to PFR, actually had a better game than I thought he did. He was targeted a grand total of 6 times and allowed a grand total of 3 completions, and they only docked him for 30 yards, which is actually pretty dang workable. That's 5 yards a target for an outside corner. So I thought it was a little bit worse. Now, granted, the reason why Woolen didn't have a great game on Sunday was not because he gave up a ton of big plays. We knew that, right? He had the miserable tackle attempt on Dobbs on his touchdown run. He had the penalty that took away a third down sack. He did those things that are more costly than the plays he's giving up. So it's not the most shocking thing in the world that his coverage numbers are still okay. But I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop here with Woolen, kind of, because we know he can be better than this. QB rating allowed well, now after this game, it's down to just under 105. Witherspoon, Devin Witherspoon, he got his fair share of targets, 3. By fair share, I mean for him. Now he's starting to become a guy with, I think, that shutdown reputation that teams avoid. Um, he allowed 2 completions in this game, so he still keeps things really clean. Just 12 yards. I feel so bad for Witherspoon still because he made 2 monster plays in this game that people are going to forget about in a couple weeks because they were taken back on penalty that had nothing to do with him, the pick and the sack. But he continues to play dominant football, and I think you have to seriously start considering, is he the best player on this team, just point blank, period. There are no holes in his game. it feels like right now. He's the one guy on this team right now who you look at and go, he is playing flawlessly. What else could he be doing? Like, in order to find things he's done wrong, you have to go back to his first couple games, like the flea flicker against Detroit, or maybe the touchdown he gave up in Carolina, which wasn't even that bad. Like, you have to go back that far to find plays where he's actually doing something bad, and it's not even that bad. So, Witherspoon, I don't know how we're here right now. His QB rating did not move after this game, by the way. Still 74.7. But yeah, very special place we're at right now. Uh, Mike Jackson, I think, allowed one catch for 4 yards. I think it was on the fake punt. So obviously that's still a successful play for him because he gets the tackle, forcing the turnover on downs. But that was his only snap. And it doesn't even really count as a defensive snap because it's a fake punt, but he did allow a 4 yard completion, and that's fine, right? Trey Brown, we already talked a little bit about this. He didn't play that much on Sunday. He got targeted 3 times and allowed 2 completions for a grand total of 33 yards. So if there was anybody in this group of defenders who gave up a little bit extra, it was probably him. That's 11 yards per target. I believe one of the catches he allowed, though, was in garbage time. So even that, how can you sweat it that much? He continues to have a really nice season. QB rating allowed is still under 68. And again, there are just going to be some games where we decide we'd rather go 3 safety all the time with Julian Love and have Trey Brown mostly sit on the bench. And this was just one of those games. Kobe Bryant did not play. Artie Burns did not play. Kobe Bryant's on IR, so we won't be seeing him for a little while. Safety, pretty dang clean from these guys, which is good because they played almost the whole game. Like Jamal Adams got targeted twice, and I believe he allowed one completion for, what was it, 5 yards? Yeah, 6 yards, excuse me. Still not allowing any air yards. -3 air yards allowed on his completions, and then 19 yards after the catch. So he's basically bulletproof in coverage right now. They're not getting to him at all. 66.7 QB rating allowed. This is what we're talking about, guys. This is what I've talked about before. Jamal Adams is a good cover player. You just have to put him in the right situations, and he will cover well. There are certain things he doesn't do well in coverage. Just don't ask him to do those things. It's that simple. Quandre Diggs got targeted once in this game, and I'm pretty sure it was a incomplete pass. Yes, it was. So nothing really changes here. QB rating allowed is 50.2. 87 yards allowed. Again, I don't think that fully captures the Quandre Diggs experience this year because he has allowed some plays where the reception goes to another player, but he didn't get over in time to help. But Diggs is playing better lately, I will say that. And then you got Julian Love, who played almost this whole game. He got targeted a grand total of 4 times in coverage, gave up 2 completions, so he's cleaning things up. 12 yards. I mean, I can't go wrong, right? You can't go wrong with 12 yards allowed on 4 targets. So he's working his way back into a respectable stat line. It's going to help a lot when he eventually gets an interception or two, but or an interception. But yeah, that's it for this game. And as you can see, there's really nothing to isolate. There's nothing to say, hey, this guy was a problem, that guy was a problem, at least in this regard. So yeah, this unit of coverage players is looking pretty awesome right now. See you guys later. More videos coming. Go Hawks.